Okay, welcome to a little snippet from my class, How Your Body Really Works. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Victoria Leo, and in addition to being a health coach and life coach for 17 years, I have been an alternative health provider. I'm a Reiki energy healer and teacher. I teach Yasui and Karuna Reiki. I do a lot of intuitive services. I help people to do past life regressions. I do dream interpretation from a psychology perspective. I am also a licensed mental health professional. As a clinical hypnotherapist, I'm in the mental health field. So, which is nice because you get all the protections and the assurance of professionalism, from that, which I use that high level of ethics in all the work that I do. So I'm an alternative health provider. I'm a mental health provider. And in addition to I use a lot of alternative health providers. And I am an enthusiastic believer in the value of the 21st century. We are living in a time when, compared to earlier ages, we have some actually effective medicine. I am so thrilled that I don't live in the Middle Ages and had to watch all my children die and watch my husband die, and have long lingering problems myself. God bless modern medicine for the things that it does well. And this is something that it's important for everyone who is going to work with me to understand. I am facts and evidence-based. Facts and evidence-based. I am not ideology-driven. I don't decide ahead of time. I believe X, therefore, I'm not going to listen to or look or test or try anything that doesn't fit inside my ideology. I believe, and I'm going to just state this up front, that ideology is the curse of our age. I have been very enthusiastic about alternative health. I had a health problem, an intense pain problem for 30 years. Modern medicine, I did everything. And, modern medicine did its best, couldn't solve the problem. I learned Reiki. I went to a hypnotherapist. And inside of 3 months, bam, a 30-year problem was gone. That is a fact. That is evidence-based. Now, that is not. Now, also, I'm one person, okay? My solution isn't necessarily going to be salvation for everyone on planet Earth. There are many people who would not be helped by my solution. I'm sure of it. Again, that's a belief, okay? I have been saved. I've had my life saved, literally, by modern medicine. I went into surgery when I was 22 years old. I went into surgery with only a 40% chance of coming out of it alive. Thank God for modern medicine. I've also had, doctors who looked at all these symptoms and evidence that, I don't know, I can't think of anything. And another, I finally found a doctor who said, oh, but of course you have blah, blah, blah. It's like, what's wrong with those other people? The fact is, there are no demons. There are no angels. There are no categories. where all people are evil, all people are good. There's a naturopath out there in the world who has taken 10 years off my life. I'm not kidding. Because she prescribed something natural product that was tested, in the ways that naturopaths test things, which does not mean the Food and Drug Administration, okay? And I've lost 10 years out of my life. She damaged something that I cannot repair, cannot be repaired. Okay. So I love naturopaths. I love doctors. I don't love ideology. I analyze, I test. Now, how do you determine if something is going to be safe, if something is going to be effective, right? I don't want to be a guinea pig, like apparently I was, for every new fad product that could potentially kill me. That is stupid. I'm not going to do that. So I need to look at studies and I need to look at results. And the only studies that impress me, because they're factual facts, are studies that are done by independent agencies. Take an example totally at random. Gershon therapy. Studies of Gershon therapy that are done by Gershon practitioners always show that the therapy is effective. But studies of Gershon therapy that are done by independent laboratories, independent doctors, independent anybody, all the studies that I've ever seen that are done by independent non-Gershon practitioners, people who don't have a dog in the fight, show that it doesn't work. It's not effective. In some cases, the coffee enemas are harmful. So I don't know that Gershon is harmful. I don't know that it's helpful. What I will say is that there is no clear, honest evidence that it works. That's what I mean by facts. I believe in intelligent skepticism based on evidence and facts. For example, Reiki has been tested by doctors and nurses and in large-scale studies. We know that it works. Evidence, right? Facts. Right? For certain things. Okay? It doesn't cure cancer. We can't say that. Not yet. Maybe not ever. And besides which, cancer is like 300 different diseases. It's not just one disease. So, but we know that it's very effective for reducing anxiety and reducing pain because we've tested that independently, So that is what I'm doing, what I've been doing with this class for 5 years. I've been doing this in the state of Washington, live classes. I am an anatomy and physiology college professor. I've got a master's degree in biology. I've got a second master's degree in psychology. I've got oodles of certifications. And I have a passion for giving people the power to make wise, intelligent decisions about their lives. I don't want you to be the victim of manipulation by anybody. And right now, there are so many plausible sounding green products. People are making billions of dollars selling products. And what I want you to consider is the possibility that somebody who's selling you a product is selling a product. They want to make a profit. And it doesn't matter how sincere they sound. And it also doesn't matter if they're a friend of yours, because becoming your friend is one of the major ways that salespeople are taught to sell. It's a very effective way to sell. You trust me, and then you buy the product, right? And I make money. Woohoo! Isn't that great? For me. Maybe not so much for you and your pocketbook and your health. Okay. And what I want to suggest is that a friend who is selling you a product is primarily somebody who's selling you a product, and secondarily, if at all, a friend. Resume the friendship after the sales conversation is over, right? And always understand that when you're having a sales conversation, you're having a sales conversation. This person may love you to pieces in every other context, but in the context of the selling conversation, they're trying to make a buck. Okay, please keep that in mind. The reason I'm so passionate about this class is that I can't stand seeing people be manipulated by sales techniques. I recognize them. And I actually do spend a certain amount of my time teaching people how to recognize sales techniques. Okay. You know, and when people are seemingly so sincere, it can be so difficult to tell yourself, this person is selling a product. And the problem is, a lot of these products, a lot of what's plausible sounding is nonsense. And if you had a basic understanding of how your body really works, you'd be sitting there and saying to yourself, that is not how my kidneys work. And you know, you nod and say, yeah, that's nice. Okay, thank you. Goodbye. Because that's not how my kidneys work. Right? Your explanation is nonsense. Okay. And I want you to be able to cut through the nonsense to go find the products and the services that are truly valuable. I want you to be able to see what things are harmless to just go try and what things are, because bear in mind, the oft maligned Food and Drug Administration, and you know, and I could go on and on and on about, you know, things that they've missed, right? And problems that they've not found, you know, or things that they slowed the acceptance of, and they shouldn't have, blah 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 blah. All that ideology, right? It's all true. That's actually a fact. That's all true. And I'm with you. I'm totally with you on that. Yes. But the fact is, none of these alternative health products that you're spending money on have been tested or evaluated. And a lot of these, you know, the practitioners will say, oh, it was tested by this laboratory and that laboratory, unless you look into that laboratory and find out that it's not being funded by the people that it's testing. Al Gore in his film quoted Upton Sinclair and the point was, you can't get somebody to understand something if their paycheck depends on them not understanding it. Okay. All right. So that's the purpose of this class. And that's my ideology, is to not have an ideology. It's either proven true, it's either an evidence-based fact, or it's not. And I have plenty of opinions. Please bear, you know, but I identified, you know, this is my opinion. Okay. There are 101 things that I believe, I have an opinion on. And it's so important to keep in mind. We all, as human beings, we've got opinions. And unfortunately, in this ideology-driven country that we're currently living in, opinions may be all that we have. We don't have any facts. But the point is, it doesn't matter how strongly or passionately or sincerely somebody has an opinion. An opinion does not morph into a fact by being strongly held, by being sincere, or by the person who has the opinion being a good person. If the Dalai Lama says the moon is made out of green cheese, the fact that he's a wonderful human being, deeply, passionately spiritual, caring, one of the most caring souls who's ever been born. The moon is still not made out of green cheese. We've got evidence. People have gone there. It's made out of dust and rock and so forth. Okay. Deeply held opinions are still opinions. And it's really hard to shine the light of truth on ourselves. It's like, oh my God. Because when we believe something very, very deeply, we know that it's true. And like Mark Twain said, it's not the things that we don't know that get us into trouble. It's the things that we know for sure that ain't so. So, have your opinions, just don't believe them. That's actually a profoundly spiritual concept. Okay. So moving forward, right? If you are the kind of person who loves to just learn on your own, you don't want to listen to, be in classes, or, you just want to listen when you're driving or something. Actually, this stuff I don't recommend you. Don't drive in traffic, okay? Please, I don't want any of my clients to meet their demise because of my products. Okay, so don't listen to this in traffic. I have an 18-hour MP3 that covers all the major body systems. So if you really prefer to do things on your own, you can do that. Most people prefer to receive the MP3 as a freebie as part of a class. Now you can do the class as a recorded event, or you can come to a live class. I do regular live classes in the Puget Sound area and in lovely Ashland, Oregon. You can come to Ashland, Oregon for a weekend and take the class during the day, and then go see a play, go wine tasting, whatever, in the evenings. Or you can come a day early, that sort of thing. I have some lodging options that are available. Okay, so that's how you get to do it. Let's talk about what you're going to learn in this. It's a 2-day intensive. Okay, the recorded version is a little bit longer than that because it's there's a limit to how much a person can absorb in one day. So we do a 2-day intensive, and that's for live interaction. Okay, so and it's a really full day with optional discussion in the evening. You can, like I said, you can go off and go watch plays, or go put a wet cloth on your face, sleep, whatever. But okay, so what are you going to learn in this class? I'll give you an example of why you need to know how your body really works. Facts. Okay, I had a client. This is just last year, recently. She started noticing over a period of a year and a half more and more swelling in her ankles. And she, and she did the usual stuff, put your feet up, ice it, blah, blah, blah. And she took some anti-inflammatories, right? She went to her primary care physician, did some anti-inflammatories, and it went away, but it always came back. It always came back. So her doctor, not unreasonably, sent her to an orthopedist. An orthopedist, felt and looked and did an MRI. My goodness, and couldn't see any abnormalities. And and then the problem started spreading to her knees. So the problem was moving up, and she was like, this is one of those times when, medicine just really, and she tried all kinds of alternative med products. She did Reiki, okay, and then and she came to me, primarily for Reiki and see if hypnosis could help. And I looked at swollen ankles and kind of moving up towards starting to happen with the knees, and the fact that she'd gotten some of the obvious things checked. And I said to her, have you had your kidneys checked? She was like, kidneys? It's like, hello, it's my ankle, it's a bone, it's a joint. What's my kidneys got to do with it? And I wasn't diagnosing. I didn't say you've got kidney disease. I said, have you had your kidneys checked? Bottom line, she went back to her doctor, did a simple kidney function, check, and yes, and she's in stage 3 kidney disease. She needs to, do everything she can to slow the damage and conserve. And the problem was she had high blood pressure, that because of her etiology, she refused to treat. She was doing only natural. Unfortunately, only natural in her case was ineffective. And the high blood pressure is shredding her kidneys. And I don't know how much you all know about kidneys, but you only get 2. Actually, my ex-husband had 3, but usually you've got 2. And that's all you get in this lifetime. They don't regenerate, all right? So whatever you do, you've got to protect them. She needed to do something about her high blood pressure. Now, I'm not saying you got to take this medication or that medication or whatever. I'm not saying that. I am saying that whatever you do, it has to work. Because if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter how natural it is, it's going to kill you. Losing your kidneys is going to kill you slowly, painfully, horribly. Okay, this is not good. And the reason swelling in her ankles suggested kidney to me is because I know that the kidneys control the amount of, well, they're not the only ones that control, but they release hormones, and they are, in fact, affected by other hormones that control fluid balance in the body. So if you've got edema, meaning swelling, swelling in the tissues, it may be a kidney problem, right? This is why, if this woman's friends, family, if she herself had known what she could have learned in this class, she could have saved 1.5 years, during which time she was allowing her kidneys to continue to deteriorate. And I mean, because it's going from her ankles to her knees, it's getting worse, right? She lost all this time that she'll never be able to get back. And if she'd only known, right? This woman's lifespan has been cut short because she didn't know what was going on with her body. And because her doctor was an idiot. All of our doctors, these alternative health providers that are supposedly better than MDs, they're selling her products, right? Including getting her to drink more fluid. Yeah. Somebody with impacted kidneys is being told to drink more fluids. Unbelievable. Because these people are selling products, they're not out for your benefit, and they don't know what they're talking about. They're well-meaning people who want to make a buck. And primarily the people who want to make a buck, and there's nothing wrong with that. This is a market-driven economy. But you have to understand, people that are selling you products are not selling you accurate information. Okay? Another example. Somebody else, a neighbor, in fact, I kept trying to get him to stop with the colon cleanses. He eventually ended up with serious problems. In this class, you will understand what is actually going on with your intestines. Now, in American culture, you start talking about poop, and you get this ooh, right? No, it's like, let's get rid of it. Let me clean out. I want to clean out, get all that stuff out of me, right? This is a cultural thing. Okay, we've got this ooh, right? 3/5 of what's coming out of you is not the remains of food. It's bacteria that have been sloughed off from your intestines. Your intestines are protected by 100 layers of bacteria that are protecting you from invasion. The thing that is keeping bad bacteria out of your microbiome is something called colony resistance. The good stuff inside of you won't let the bad stuff in. It's like, hey, this is my home. I live here, and I will attack you. You are not coming to live here, E. coli. This is my home. And you know, and if you're doing all these cleanses, what you're doing is you're pulling out all the good bacteria. Now, this is a complex issue, and there are no simple solutions. Okay, there's sometimes cleanses are a good thing, sometimes they're not. But when you're doing too much, right? When you're or you're cleansing with coffee and other sorts of stuff that has not been proven to and there's some evidence that it's harmful. Coffee should go down your throat, not up the other end, according to the data that I've seen. Okay, so anyway, but too much of what sounds like a good idea, right? I need to cleanse my insides. If you don't know what's really going on, this plausible, let me clean out my dirty gut, actually can be a killer. I taught a class in Mexico City once, and came back to the U.S. so horribly sick. I had dysentery, which is extreme diarrhea, for weeks, and had to hit myself with 3 different kinds of antibiotics. And while I was so sick, I was so drained. My doctor said to me, be really careful not to cut yourself, right? Because your blood clotting ability right now is impacted. And I knew why. There is an absolutely essential factor in your blood clotting mechanism called vitamin K. Right? Vitamins are not necessarily nutritional. They're enzymes. They catalyze biochemical reactions. Anyway, so vitamin K, or factor K, is part of what's needed to make blood clot. Without it, your blood won't clot, and you bleed to death. Now, and I was not completely deficient, but with all this diarrhea, I was deficient. The bacteria that are producing factor K were being flushed out, sloughed off. And the thing is, I knew what he was talking about. This class will allow you to understand what your doctor's talking about. When your doctor starts, or your ND starts gibbering about blah, 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 if you know what he or she is talking about, Not only do you not feel flummoxed, but you can ask the right questions so that you don't do a therapy that isn't going to be right for you, or reject a therapy because it sounds scary because you don't know what the person's talking about, right? And if you know what the person's talking about, you can ask questions. You can then go research, and please, I beg of you, reputable government websites, not ideology driven, product driven stuff. Okay, facts. Thank you. You can check, get some background information. Like my friend client got information from the National Kidney Foundation. Okay, on CKD stage 3. Okay, what are the things that you can do? She didn't immediately rush out and listen to 16 product pitches. She got some basic information, and then she had the information. She could just go and evaluate different alternative products and so on. Okay, so another example. Everybody knows that you need to get calcium. You need to get calcium, and people will say you need calcium for your bones. Yeah. It's totally true. Totally true. You need, if you want to have strong bones, you don't want to spend the rest of your life lying in bed, unable to move, because your bones are brittle. They'll break. You can't stand up, right? Crack your hip. You need adequate amounts of calcium, and some other things which we'll get into in class. Okay. Calcium by itself isn't terribly well absorbed. So anyway. But that's not what your body uses calcium for. Bones store calcium so that the two body systems that actually need calcium desperately can get it when they need it, and then store it when they don't need it. Okay. Your muscles get the go signal. I think you all know that your nerves send a message to the muscle, and I'll get into detail in the class. But basically, there's a storage areas of calcium when the nerve impulse, electrical impulse comes in. The calcium storage vesicles open, and this flood of calcium down the muscle tells the muscle, okay, time to contract. All right, so that's the go signal. You need that, otherwise your muscles will just lie there, and that is life-threatening, because there are two very important muscles in your body. Your heart is a muscle, okay, it needs to go pump, and your diaphragm needs to expand and contract, so that your lungs expand and contract. And you can ventilate yourself. You can get some oxygen, some new oxygen. And the other thing is your nerves. Calcium is essential to the functioning of nerves. And without nerves, the heart won't beat, the lungs won't ventilate, your brain dies, and so do you. So that's the real reason why you need calcium in your life. Now, another example of what you're going to learn in this class, how the endocrine system works, how the hormones work. Another client came to me. He was so proud of himself because he was taking iodine and doing a natural thyroid cure. He had been diagnosed with hypothyroidism, which means his thyroid gland, which is in the throat area, was not releasing enough thyroid hormone, which every cell in your body needs for metabolism, right? And he was not producing enough, and he decided that he was going to go with a purely natural cure. and he was taking all these herbs and stuff, and he was so proud of himself. And I looked at him, and I could tell he was in trouble. And I suggested that he get his hormone levels checked, and then he ask himself if the hormone levels are not normal. To be honest. Okay. Another person, hyperthyroid, too much. There was a growth on his thyroid, which he didn't want to have removed, which was making the gland produce too much. And he said, I'm using natural cure, purely natural cure, and I'm so proud of again very proud of himself. The pride was coming from the ideology. I've got this ideology and I'm following my beliefs. Okay, that's why the real reason why he was so proud of himself. Because I looked at him, and when people have too much thyroid hormone, they get this googly look. Their eyes. You can tell just by looking at the face, and then this changes in the shape of the face. I looked at him and I said, "You are hyperthyroid. I can tell just by looking at you. You're not curing yourself. You're fooling yourself. You're taking all these products. You're spending all this money, and you're destroying yourself. You're destroying your health. Too much thyroid hormone will damage your heart, damage your bones, etc., etc." Anyway, so, and again, I'm not anti-alternative health. What I am in favor of is truth. There's a beautiful line from the Bible. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. I set myself free from a crippling disease through Reiki and hypnotherapy, right? Alternative health saved me. Modern surgery saved me. Polio vaccine saved me. All these generations that have not been stricken with polio. My parents were terrified the first 2 years of my life until that polio vaccine came out. Finally, they could protect me. Anyway, modern medicine. Some other examples. Why you need knowledge. You need this class. I'm always hearing things about the reptile brain. Oh, I'm in my reptile brain. Honey, you don't have a reptile brain. You've got a human brain. Now, there are some structures that are similar to that way back when, right? They haven't changed a whole lot, but they have changed. The connection between what that reptile brain thing is the limbic system. What we now, every month there's a new study. It's so exciting. Neuroscience is so exciting. When you're reading the science articles, facts, evidence. It's so exciting. The limbic system, more and more about the limbic system, is deeply connected with the prefrontal cortex. They are not separate. They're not separate. They're integrated. There's a famous study of a guy who had the part of the brain, I'm not going to bother you with the name, that connects the limbic system and the prefrontal cortex, the thinking, analytical, rational brain. Okay, that connection was severed. So the guy had perfect rational control. He spent 2.5 hours going through the pros and cons of what to have for lunch. He would have starved to death. If the scientist hadn't stopped the experiment, his wife just put a sandwich in front of him, and he ate it, and he was happy. But he could not make a decision to save his life. It's our limbic system that drives decisions, that ultimately makes decisions. That's important to know. So we don't demonize the limbic system, and we also don't sanctify the limbic system, because you can go to the other extreme. You can say, my intuitive sense, I always know. That is absolutely true. Your intuition always knows. But do you know the difference between real intuition and your limbic system? I talk to hiring managers all the time who say, I just know that this person is not going to be a good hire and this other person is. And guess what? Their intuition is constantly telling them that men are the people to hire for computer science jobs. Their intuition is telling them that this woman can't do it. They don't look at her history of achievement. They don't talk to her former managers, because their intuition is telling them, and they're listening to their intuition. They're not listening to intuition. They're listening to the prejudices of their limbic system. So really understanding how your true brain works, so that you can have compassion for yourself, understand the times when you are going to go off the rails. Do not make hiring decisions based on, oh, I just feel this person is going to be right. If it turns out that women or Asians or black people or gay people or short people or it's absolutely true. Tall people get hired before short people. It's really fortunate that the French army didn't follow that rule. Otherwise, Napoleon would have been a olive farmer or something instead of one of the greatest generals in history. Oh dear, oh dear. So that is my passion. Just some examples of why I want you to learn the facts about how your body really works. What we're going to do is we're going to start with all body systems in a clear and integrated way, because they work together. They communicate with each other. We're going to talk about all the ways that water, fluids, talk about blood and lymph, and how the lymph works with the immune system, for example. We're going to talk about communication, how your body communicates, right? Regulation, how it regulates itself. And what happens when regulation doesn't, goes haywire? When you using alternative health or traditional health or whatever need to effectively intervene because self-regulation isn't working. I'll give you an example. January and February 2015, I was away from home and came down with a horrible flu. Did all the alternative health, supportive care, herbs, vitamins, blah, 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 everything. Believe me, everything. And eventually, it looked like my immune system defeated the bug, and I was well for a week and a half. And then back again. High fever, flat on my back, incoherent. And then a third bout. Fortunately, by that point, I had gotten back home to my wonderful doctor who integrates alternative and traditional care. She gave me some pharmaceuticals, some drugs. And in 3 days, this flu that had disabled me for 2 months was gone. If I had only done that sooner. So, oh gosh, effective care comes in all ways and forms, right? And my immune system cannot cure everything on its own, even with the help of every herb, vitamin, and product in creation. Sometimes we just, my immune system needs to pull out the big guns. Okay. So, and that's one of the important things with this class. One of the things that I'm going to be doing is spending a lot of time talking about exactly how your immune system actually works. So when you're hearing about products that support the immune system, it's like, okay, what part of the immune system? What clinical evidence do you have? Is it the B cells, the T cells? What are you doing? Right? Is it the communication? Is it the memory cell? What? Okay, what part of the immune system? How is it supporting the immune system? Right? And do you understand that the immune system lives in the lymphatic system as well as the tissues and the blah, 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 blah. So, I am passionate about stopping all this manipulation of people by just telling them, oh, it supports your immune system, and in things. And I've heard claims that the immune system can't possibly do. The immune system isn't responsible for your fluid balance. Okay, what the immune system does. I've seen products. It's like, oh, this will allow your immune system to control your fluid balance. Hello, that's what the kidneys do, among other things. But so, what do you get out of taking this class? If somebody says something really, really inanely stupid like that, you're going to understand that the immune system doesn't control your fluid balance. And it doesn't do this, and it doesn't do that. Okay? It attacks invaders. And sometimes it attacks you, thinking you're an invader, but whoops. Anyway, that's the immune system, that much maligned, much lied about, to be precise, much lied about immune system. So we're going to talk about that as a major part of this class. Go to my website, soaringdragon.biz, and go look at the classes, look at the description, and email me with any questions. I'm looking forward to seeing you in a class. Take the power into your hands. Have enough background on how your body really works that you're not going to be an easy mark for every, even if it's a friend, every purveyor of products, every seller of stuff who comes along with something plausible sounding. Things can be plausible sounding because you don't know how your body really works. I'm Victoria Leo, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon.